Well, this is Sprotbrough Weir on the River Don. This is a spot that I fished last year, and I definitely had some unfinished business on this, certainly this particular spot. The river looks like it's at normal level today. I've come along here today without really checking the river levels, but that looks really nice. I definitely had some unfinished business on this spot. I really struggle with snags. If you've seen the video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is on this channel, but I definitely want to come back and fish this spot. It looks so fishy, and I know I've read online and spoke to people, there are some big fish here, there are barbel here and other fish as well, but unfortunately on that particular day the snags beat me. So whilst this looks really, really nice, I'm going to be fishing a little bit further downstream today, where I'm hoping we're going to latch into one or two better fish. This is a couple of pegs downstream. There's the bridge, as you can see, and this is the spot where I ended up fishing on that particular session. The river looks normal level, but it's very clear, as you can see. Very, very clear. Just downstream of this bridge is where I'm going to target today. There are 3 other anglers, they've just gone further down, but they're targeting silverfish. They're going to float fish today, so I'm hoping I can get in just here opposite these features. I'm going to fish with a feeder, but I'm going to fish with some proper gear. I'm going to be fishing with a maggot feeder. I'm going to be putting some hemp through as well. So whilst maggots obviously will catch anything, I'm going to fish it in a way that if we do hook any big fish, which is what I'm hoping, then I'm going to have the tattle on to land them. But the first thing I need to do is just get the gear out the van, get over the stile and get the kit down to the peg. This stretch of the River Don is just downstream of the weir at Sprotbrough. It's actually controlled by Doncaster and District Anglers Association, and it is available to fish on a day ticket. The swim I decided to fish is a couple of pegs downstream of the bridge, and it's just where the river narrows up a little bit, but it has got loads of cover opposite. With the river being so clear and all those features on the far bank, it looked by far the best place to fish. Morning. I think this is going to be the spot. I'm just 2 pegs down from the bridge, as you can see. I'm going to get my gear down here because I don't want to be on the skyline too long. These pegs here have actually got platforms, so they're lovely and comfortable. I can't believe how little flow there is. That's the biggest thing that's hit me right now. I thought I'd be fishing with, you know, heavier feeders to hold bottom. I don't think that's going to be the case today. I picked this spot. I was going to fish a little bit further upstream, just there, where there's a little bit more flow. It is a little bit wider, but I just feel because it's so clear and the level isn't up or anything like that, I just think if there are any fish here now, with the disturbance of me being on the bank, they might have backed off to that cover over there. This peg's got some cover over there. It might be really snaggy, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But I just feel as though if there are going to be any fish here, they're going to be where that cover is. So I'm going to be fishing just where the white bubbles are, somewhere there. If I've got to go further across with a feeder, I will. But I'm going to get my gear down the bank. There's only me here at the moment, but it's very clear, as you can see. See the bottom there. So I'm going to get my gear down the bank. I'm settled on the peg. Usual setup, you all know about that. Rod up in the air, there is a bit of flow. I can't believe how clear it is. It's really surprising. The bait tray today is very simple. Maggots, I've got plenty of them. There are 2 pints of live red maggots there that I'm going to be feeding through the feeder, and then we've got some hemp as well. Because there's such little flow, I doubt that this hemp's going to be getting washed out of the feeder anyway. But obviously by putting some of that in the feeder, it's going to be introducing that smell, that scent. And when I retrieve the feeder, some will be coming out, and I'll open the holes on the feeder as well. So that is it, maggots and hemp. I'm going to fish with maggots on the hook, probably 3 or 4 maggots just to kick off with, and we'll find out if, I don't know if small fish are going to be a problem today or not, but I am going to fish with some proper gear, proper hooks, proper line, which I'll talk you through when we get fishing. So if we are going to hook a bonus fish, then hopefully we're going to land it. But when you're travelling light like this, it didn't take long to set up, which is good. One rod, so I'm going to kick off with 3 live red maggots on the hook. I'll show you the rig and everything in a bit. I just can't wait to get the rig out there. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to start right down the bottom of the peg. I'm going to start at the top end of the swim, just so that if we don't catch there, I've still got loads of space downstream to work the feeder down to as the session progresses, in case any fish are backing off and if any of these maggots are obviously working their way downstream. I don't think there's going to be much spread of bait today because there's hardly any flow. I'm going to kick off with you know, a positive feeder. All right, I'm not going to quite fill it. A few grains of hemp in there just to get some scent in there. I think normally just a little feeder and just sit and wait and be patient might be the way to go, but I want to start like this, and then obviously I can scale down afterwards or as the session progresses. I've got the drag set, as you'd expect, and I think I can probably just about underarm it to where I'm going to be starting off. Just check that drag. I've got to watch these overhanging trees as well. Let's get that out there. It's about halfway, that's just at bottom. That's how deep it is. That surprised me pleasantly. Get the rod on the rest. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a day where you're going to have to not going to be feeding a bow out or anything like that, not when there's such little flow. The problem that I had when I fished just upstream below the weir is that it was very snaggy, and I'm hoping that's not going to be the case here. So what I'm going to do is just to ensure that, I mean, I'm sure there will be snags there, it's just the nature of the beast fishing a venue like this, is that I'm not, you know, I'm going to be fishing with the feeder on the bottom, so it's not moving, and that's why I've only kicked off with a shorter hook length as well. Usually when you're fishing these sorts of venues, especially when it's clear, you might be better off with at least 1 metre hook length. But I don't want to start on that because that's just going to increase the chance of me hooking up on any snags. So I'm going to start off like this, and then obviously I can go more negative later on if we need to. Small, they look like small fish bites. There we go. Nothing there, though. There were gudgeon in here last time. There are others, lots of silverfish, lots of dace and roach. Hook's not, sorry, the bait's not marked, but definitely small fish just rattling that tip. So it's nice we're getting 1 or 2 reactions. I can't believe the depth. That's really surprised me how deep it is, which has filled me with even more confidence. So I'm just going to give it the first hour on that spot. And if we still haven't caught anything of any certain, you know, size, then I can obviously start moving. The kit that I've kicked off with is, it's only a 50 centimetre hook length. Like I say, sometimes, usually, you'd start on a longer hook length on a river in this condition, but I just don't want to risk it with the snags to start with. And it's 0.22 breaking. The diameter is 0.22, which in this particular line breaks at about, I'm not sure if it's about 8 pounds, 7 pounds, something like that. And I've got a size 12 on hook, but it's not a really wide gape hook. But I've just got 3 maggots on that to kick off with. So I've got proper gear on. But there are lots of silverfish in here. They do fish for them further downstream. The river's much steadier flow right the way across the river, and they're great float fishing pegs. There's lots of roach, lots of dace, and there are odd chub there as well. But up here, obviously you'd expect those smaller fish as well. They're all gudgeon, but I know there is a chance of a barbel or chub up here as well. And I've heard bream as well, the odd bream, or they used to catch bream. But a lot of what I know about this bit is really based on rumour, so that's why it's nice to fish it. See, that was another knock then. That's why it's nice to fish it, because to me It's very much an unknown. I don't know what to expect. But I'm getting indications now. I think they're small fish, but it's a start. There we go. That was a much more positive bite that time. And look, the culprit, the gudgeon, the gunk. Not very often I catch gudgeon these days. There we go. Beautiful little fish, mini barbel. There we go. And if I'd missed that bite, like I thought I had, I would have thought it was a much better fish than what that actually was. The rig I'm using, I'll show you the rig while we're out of the water. The rig is basically, it's just a 40 gram feeder. I've opened the holes out, that's so it empties much quicker. Obviously for the maggots, but the hemp as well, that'll help the hemp exit the feeder. Got a couple of loops below the feeder, and then the 50 centimetre hook length. 3 maggots on. I'm just going to stay on that spot now. There's obviously some small fish there now, but sometimes that can obviously bring in the attentions. I'm not really filling the feeder, but there's plenty going in. Those small fish can attract the attentions of smaller fish, but we'll see how we go. Just gone a tiny little bit further across now, towards that cover. There's more cover further downstream, actually overhanging, but I didn't want to start there, because if I did catch any early fish, then I didn't want any of the fish to work their way downstream and out the swim. So if I can catch 1 or 2, see there, the small fish are there now. Right from that first bite that we had first cast, the bites are coming quicker now. They've obviously come to those maggots. I'll continue with it, and if they continue to be a problem, then I'll have to change something. I haven't brought any other baits with me. Just got 2 pints of maggots and the hemp, so I haven't brought anything else, so I can't really switch to a bigger bait or anything. But I'll make a change if I need to, but I'll just see how it goes for this first hour. Yes. There we go. Silverfish. What we got this time? Roach by the looks of it. There we go. 3 reds. The positive bites anyway. If I miss one of those bites, you're just going to think, what was that? You're not going to know. I'm going to stick at it a bit longer, and if it carries on like this with these small fish, I'm going to start putting more bait through, see if I can trigger something from a bigger fish. If that doesn't work, I'll start working my way downstream. I'll stick with 3 maggots. I'm sure there's got to be a bigger fish down there waiting for us, I'm sure. We'll keep that hemp going in, and the maggots. Well, the worst places to sit drinking OXO, I know that. It's a beautiful settled day today. Not too chilly, it was just 8 degrees the temperature, so I think it dropped a little bit last night, but I don't think it's going to be enough to put the fish off. Never fails on places like this, especially when you're fishing these bigger baits. Lovely bite though, popping bite. So that's 3 fish, 3 species. What's going to come next? Well, these are the pegs further downstream. They are old pylons over there. That's where they used to tie up the barges years and years ago. I don't think that happens anymore, but the river gets much steadier when you get down here. The flow kind of evens out more from where I am as you get away from that weir, and then it goes around a bend here, and you can just see where those white steps are. That's actually where there's a small section of where it goes into the canal, which goes behind those trees right the way up there to the other side of the bridge, and that is where the Sprotbrough match fishing stretch is, where they have the Rotherham Open matches, and they have Winter League matches there as well. So that's where the start of that is, and then when it goes further around that corner, around the bend, the flow gets much steadier, and that's why it's much better for float fishing, for dace and roach and that sort of thing. It was great to see so many anglers actually fishing. It was a midweek day, it was a very cold day, but it just shows what a popular stretch this is, and that's usually a good sign that the fishing's pretty good. As I walked along that short stretch and I looked at the other swims that were available, I couldn't help but fancy my peg even more for some fish. It was the only peg that had got any sort of real cover. It had got a little bit of flow as well, so I couldn't wait to get back to the peg, but the temperature had started to drop. It's not getting any warmer. That wind's just appeared and it's freezing cold. They have forecast some snow in the next day or two, so the temperature's really dropping, but there's certainly no shortage of bites and sport. It's just a case of just trying to work my way through these small fish. I'm piling the maggots in and fishing there where that tree is, and if there's all those little gudgeon here like there are, with 3 red maggots on, you'd fancy yourself hooking a big perch or something as well. So I'm just going to keep ploughing on. That was another good bite, and look what it's resulted in. We're back on the mini barbel. Gudgeon City. Left that in much longer that time, but it still resulted in a small fish. What we got this time? Different species? Perch. It's a different species anyway, and slightly bigger than a gudgeon. Well, there's certainly no lack of sport anyway. Switch to 4 maggots on the hook now. Yes. No. That's straight into a snag. Oh no! I was getting loads of little indications, and I'll just let it develop in case it were a better fish. And that's just locked up straight into a snag. Well, there's no sign of a fish on that now. Oh. I suppose I'm fortunate that this is the first snag I've had all day. That's everything gone. Another setup. Well, it was definitely a bite, but I never connected with a fish. It was just straight into that snag, so I've no idea if it was a better fish or not, but I'm just going to have to set this back up again now. Well, I've set that rig back up now, exactly the same. But all I'm going to do now is I'm going to scale the size of the feeder down, just so it's a little bit more discreet. There's loads of maggots gone out there now, and maybe because the river is low and clear, and there has been quite a few people walking about on the bank as well, if the fish are just being a little bit cagier, or the better fish are being cagier, you know, a smaller feeder might just be a little bit more discreet, and it might just trick one into coming away from that cover or trying to get one a little bit closer to the feeder. We won't know unless we try. Straight away there was a small fish onto that, and again gudgeon. I think the best thing I can do is just load this hook up. I put 3 maggots on there now, but I'm going to put 4 on. Load it up with 4. Keep that little feeder going in and just wait for a positive pull. And hopefully, having 4 maggots on, it's just going to mean I can leave it in a bit longer. Even if 1 or 2 of the maggots get smashed, at least there's still some bait on in case there's a better fish knocking about. I think we've hooked that one. Just leaving it. There's got to be some other species there, I'm sure. There we go. A 4 maggot gudgeon. A bigger gudgeon. They're getting bigger anyway. Fantastic bites, nearly pull the rod in. They're definitely a better stamp now. Specimen size gudgeon. Perch. Well, we finally got away from the gudgeon, but even with this smaller discreet feeder that we've got on now, I'm not getting as many bites from the gudgeon, but they are still there. There you go, beautiful little perch. Hopping back. It looks like there's just way too many gudgeon down there. It's one of those things, you know, you come to fish for bites, and you know, if those small fish aren't there, and if there are any better fish there, then you don't really have any problems from small fish and you catch the better fish. Sometimes there are so many small fish there that you just can't get through them, and that's when you need other baits. You know, you need your bigger baits like your meat and bread and that sort of thing. So it looks like the gudgeon have definitely won the day. To catch 30 or 40 fish in winter on a bitterly cold day is usually exactly what you want, especially in winter, just because it keeps you busy and it makes it much more enjoyable. It's just a bit unfortunate that we haven't had the odd better stamp fish in between. I have actually fished just underneath that weir there, and I have also fished above the weir where it's a completely different river, where I actually went and fished for bream. And if you want to see both those videos, they are just there at the side of the screen for you. But it's been a really nice, enjoyable session. It's just been great to be out, and I'm looking forward to spending much more time on this river and similar venues all the way through winter.